Hello, my name is Ioannis Dizoglou, and in this video tutorial we are going to take a step further. In the first video tutorial we'll learn how to normalize data. On the second video tutorial we'll learn how to create an ERD, an entity relational diagram. On the third video tutorial we'll learn how to create the data dictionaries. And now we are ready with all this planning in place, we are ready to start developing our actual database. Let's go and launch Microsoft Access. Let's create a new blank database, and I'm going to name my database as Workplace for Training. I'm going to locate the folder where I would like my database to be saved. And then I'm going to click OK. Now I know my database is located within my Documents folder and within a folder called Workplace for Training. We're just going to wait a little bit. Let's select Create. Let's have a look now the folder. Let's refresh. Now we can see the actual database. Now we have created a database. The first thing we can see is the actual table is created for us. So what we need to do, we need to right click here and we need to go to the design view. I'm going to name my first table. Let's have a look at my data dictionaries. I'm going to name my first table TBL Assessors Details. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. Control V to paste. I'm going to remove any spaces I have here and click OK. Alright, so the next thing we need to do, let's place this on the left hand side. So the next thing we need to do is basically start transferring all the attributes. So I've got a foreign key here, and the data type is set to number. Always the foreign key is number, because the primary key is always auto number. That's a good practice. So I'm just going to put the name here, and is short text. That's okay, it's complaining. I'm going to put address, and again is short text. Postcode, again is short text. Mobile number. I'm just doing Control C, Control V to paste. Control C, Control V to paste. So basically, I'm double clicking the attribute, and that's the good thing is when you remove the spaces in between the field names, it saves you a lot of time. Okay. Now the nodes, we have to make them long text. All right. Okay, so here I've got the max length. Let's sort out the max length now. So I'm going to go here. My max length is 9, is less than 9. Let's put 9 here. In fact, I could put here, to be more accurate, I could say less than or equals to 9, or just basically put the 9. You don't need to put less than symbol. It's up to you. So let's remove that. So I won't get confused in the future. I'm just going to Control S to save it. That's okay. So here I've got, oops, I'm going to go there. That's okay. So that's 9, gives me 9 here. So the name is, we said 55. So I'm going to remove the 200 here. The address, we said here 255. Actually, the address we can make it, let's make it 150. Again, as you can see, you can actually still manipulate this information. It is your database, so you can actually customize it. So if you change your mind, that's okay. As long as when you change your mind, you know, it makes sense. So the postcode here, I've got 10. Yeah, the postcode will be all right with 10 characters. The mobile number, we have 11 characters. Let's put 15 characters just in case somebody wants to put the plus icon. Even though we're going to put a validation rule, if the client complains, we can always remove the validation rule, so people then can actually add the plus or the 00. Again, we're going to put some restrictions there, but it is important for us to make sure that we know what we're doing. So when the client requests from us to remove some of the validation rules, because the validation rules give people's headache. So now the long text, we cannot put we cannot put a limit on the actual long text. It's a long text. We can put a validation rule to say less than X amount of characters, okay? But again, let's leave it. I'm just going to remove the validation rule. So let's hide this so we have some more information here, some more space there. So let's apply the validation rules there. So the primary key, the foreign key, sorry, here is required. So let's put here on the require section, we're going to select yes. Then we have the auto number there. So now for the mobile number, I'm going to force the user to add 11 characters. I'm going to Control C to copy this. So I'm going to go to the mobile number and I'm going to go to the validation rule. So make sure your attribute here, can you see that? Capital M, capital N, mobile number. Okay, make sure you have the correct text and correct uppercase or lowercase. We'll put here 11, that's okay. And this validation rule will ensure that the email address is based on specific format. I've got that in place. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to double click copy. Oops. So let's create the statement here. We'll say is null. Let's put capital N. Or then in brackets we're going to say like, and then we're going to specify the format. So we're going to put double quotes and an asterisk, question mark, the @ sign, question mark, an asterisk again, dot, question mark, an asterisk again, and a double quote. Let's close the bracket. Let's put the is with a capital I as well, just in case it become a bit fussy. So this is the validation rule. So we have lie is null, so it's null. So if it's blank, that's okay. We don't want an error message. Or if somebody types something, we need to make sure that type wherever they like, plus the @ sign, plus wherever they like, plus the dot, and plus the wherever they like. Let's put this validation rule into my data dictionary. So I'm correcting my data dictionary, as you can see, as I go along. So now let's test it. Let's go to the dataset view. Yes. All right. So I've got the name. Let's put John. Oops. The address 1 Green Road. Postcode UI 11 4DD. Mobile number, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Let's say 11. So these are 11 characters. So based on our validation rule, it should be okay. If I click next, okay, that's good. If I put another character here, all right, okay, the validation rule kicks in. That's good. So I know my validation rule here is working. Let's increase here the width. So this is my email address now. So test@gmail.com. Enter. Okay, my validation rule for the email address works. So if I put here, if I remove the @ sign and click next, okay, the validation rule kicks in now again. Let's put the @ sign here. And for the notes, let's say test 1, 2, 3. All right. So now I have tested my validation rules. I have set up my fields, the file size for each field. Let's put the description now. So I'm just going to put this here on the side. Let's increase the height. That's better. So now I can actually copy and paste the description over. So I'm going to copy and paste. So that's the ID field. I'm going to double click here, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Double click, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Double click, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Double click, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Double click, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. And again. So now let's increase the height a bit. And finally, the notes. So now I've got everything in place. So I have transferred my data dictionaries over. So I've got everything in place, including the validation rules. I'm happy with this table. Let's increase the width there. Okay. And we can actually close this. Yes, let's save it. And by following the same process, I'm going to basically transfer the rest of the tables over. I'm going to go to Create, Table. I'm going to go to the Design View. My next table is the TBL title. Paste, okay. So I only have two attributes here. I have the ID field and the name field. Yeah, that's okay. Short text will do, 55 characters. Let's transfer over the descriptions. Double click, come on. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Okay, this was a quick table. I can close that. I'm not going to put any validation rules. That's okay. In fact, I put required here. So let's go to Design View. Right click, go to Design View. And let's change that to required. Yes. Let's close this now. Yes. Okay, the next table is this table here, course details. I'm going to go to Create, Table, go to the Design View, Control V to paste, TBL course details. Let's increase the size a bit here. Let's put it there. Okay. So now I've got the name. That's okay. Date. Now the data type here is going to be date and time. Cost. This is currency. Duration. I'll put the duration as text, short text. That's okay. Notes. That's a long text. I've got a foreign key here. And as there's a foreign key, it's going to be a number. Now, so for the short text, I'm going to specify, let's hide this. For the short text, so long text we don't have to specify, and the number we don't have to specify. That's okay. For the short text, we're going to put, let's remove that one, let's say not applicable. Okay. For the duration, let's leave the duration as default, it doesn't matter. Okay, we set not applicable. So let's go to the name only, and let's change that to 55. Let's put here not applicable as well. Okay, let's transfer all the description now. Just copy and pasting by using Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. So we have just the foreign key required. Let's change that to yes. So this is done now. We can save the table and we can close it. Let's create the new one now. Which is that one here. Oops. Let's copy that. Create a new table. Let's go to the design view. Let's remove the space here. Click OK. I'm gonna follow the same process. Let's hide this. Address. Postcode. Mobile number. As you can see, I have not put a validation rule on mobile number, but I've transferred the validation rule on the email. Again, you don't have to put validation rule on every table. It is up to you, as long as you provide evidence that you know how to implement a validation rule. My advice to you is don't go crazy with validation rules. Because validation rules give people headache, but obviously we need accurate information as well, so you have to make a decision when you're actually developing a database. So let's sort out the data type. So the name is the ID is auto number, that's correct. The name is short text, the address is short text, everything is short text apart from the cost. So the cost is a currency. Then the Google is hyperlink. And the notes is long text. Now we'll go to the short text for the email. For the cost, let's put not applicable here. So for the email, let's put 55 characters. For the mobile number, let's put 15. For the postcode, let's put 10. For the address, 55. And for the name, 55. So I have set up the max field. So we have auto number here. We have this validation rule for the email. I'm going to copy this, Ctrl+C to copy. I'm going to select my email field, go to the validation rule, Ctrl+V to paste. I don't have any other validation rules here. So now I need to transfer the description over. Double click, Ctrl+C to copy, Ctrl+V to paste. double click, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and so on and so forth. It is pretty boring process, but think the money. So you're getting paid lots of money to do this. So it's better than using a shovel or digging a hole. As a farmer, it's going to be a lot more tiring than just double clicking a mouse and use the keyboard shortcut. And now the next table I'm gonna create is the course schedule. I'm gonna go to create, new table. The process is exactly the same. Let's remove the space here, click OK. Let's transfer all the attributes first. Once we transfer the attributes, we're going to sort out the data types. Once we sort out the data types, we're going to sort out the validation rules. And the process is pretty straightforward. It might seem boring, but it's that exciting process because you need to think of the money. Now this process, you're looking for at least £500, and it shouldn't take you more than 2 hours. This is because you have the expertise in this field. Short text, cost is the currency. The more you do it, the quicker you're going to become. All the foreign keys are numbers. Consistency is one of the key things you need to remember when you're creating a relational database. Let's remove the ID9 there. Let's put not applicable. Excuse me. Right, so the name is 55, the duration is 55, everything else stays as it is. So I need to make sure the foreign keys are required. Oops. Let's change these fields to require fields. Now, even if I don't make them require fields, because the relationship I'm going to create, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to apply referential integrity, cascade update, cascade delete. It will set them to required anyway. But it's good practice to do this here as well, just in case. Let's transfer all the description. Again, you might think it's a boring process. You need to focus on the payment. Not many people know how to do this. You are the expert and you need to get paid as an expert. Database management is one of the most important jobs. So because I've got all these foreign keys, I need to create the relationships before I add any data. So I'm just gonna close this table now. Yes, let's select yes. And I've got, now I'm on the final table. Just gonna copy the table, create, and for one final time we are going to follow the same process. Is It's quite a repetitive job, but very, very rewarding. Once you have your normalization in place, your ERD and your data dictionaries, the full process, the rest of the process of developing the actual database is quite straightforward, because your planning, you make sure when you're done your planning is you have all the data types and everything in place. So they are achieved. I need to change that to yes and no. Notes, I need to change that to long text. Now let's apply the validation rule on the email. Let's collapse that. And let's apply number to the foreign key. Let's apply 55 on the name, 55 on the address, 10 characters on the postcode, 55 characters on the email address, and 15 characters on the mobile phone. This can go. Let's make this not applicable. And again, we can make this not applicable because the data type is number. Right, okay, so let's put, we need to make the foreign key required field. And again, because we're gonna apply referential integrity cascade update, cascade delete, it will basically make this a required field anyway. So let's copy all the descriptions again for one more final time. I'm just double clicking, Control C, Control V, double click, Control C, Control V, and one more double click, Control C, Control V. Okay, got everything in place. I'm gonna save this table, close this table, and I've got all 6 tables here. Alright, the next thing I need to do, and the final thing I need to do for this tutorial, is basically create the relationships. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to go to the database tools, select relationships. I can right click here, show relationships. I have nothing. Right click, show table. I've got my table here, so if I close this, I'm going to right click, select show table. I'm going to bring this up. So I'm going to double click this and double click that 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 to bring them up. By clicking and dragging, I'm going to make sure I'm going to increase the width and the height so I can actually see all the data. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to do the same here. Let's increase the width as well. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to let's make this a bit smaller. It doesn't have to be that big. And that one here. Okay, now the table where I've got the most foreign keys, I need to put right in the middle to make things easier. Okay, I've got title IDFK here and title IDFK here. Just gonna put this to here and put the title table on this side, because the other tables, none of these tables require the title. So I'll put the title here away. So one title can go to many assessors. So I'm gonna click and drag the title ID over to my title ID here, and I'm gonna force reference integrity, cascade update, cascade delete. So the primary key to the foreign key, create. Okay, so it's not gonna allow me to create because data already exists. So let's cancel that. So I need to go to the assessors table. So let's open the assessors table. As you can see on the assessors table, I've got here foreign key. Let's remove that. Okay, because I've made it a required field, I'm just gonna put here 1. Okay, it still will not allow me to do that. Let's go to design view. Let's select here. So the format, let's remove the format here. Set the format in here. So let's go to back to the dataset view. Yes. Okay, I've got a record 1 for the TBL for the title IDFK. Now I need to go to the title ID and I need to, titles table, and I need to generate a title ID 1. So I'm just gonna call this Mr. I don't really need to have that one. Click here to add. I'm gonna click and drag to. Okay, so I'm gonna make here Mrs. I'm gonna make Ms. Let's put doctor here. So I've got ID 1. Now ID 1 exists on this table, on the titles table, also exists on the TBL assessor. Now, because both tables has the ID 1, the ID 1 exists, so I'm going to click and drag again the primary key to the foreign key and force referential integrity, cascade update and cascade delete. I'm going to click create, and the relationship now is possible. I'm going to follow the same process. So TBL title to title IDFK to the foreign key and force referential integrity, cascade update, cascade delete, create. Now here allow me to create the relationship because let's go to the student table. On the student table I do not have any data yet. That's why it is important before you start creating the relationships, do not add any data. If you do, like I did here, you could actually go and manually change it, or you can just right click and delete the record. Okay. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to find if I've got any foreign keys here. I do not have any other foreign keys here. And I do not have any other foreign keys here. And do I have a foreign key here? Yes, I've got the foreign key assessor. So I need to find the primary key assessor. The primary key assessor is on the primary table for assessor. I'm going to click and drag this over to the foreign key. I'm going to force referential integrity, cascade update, cascade delete. What the referential integrity, cascade update, cascade delete will do, if I delete any record from this table, automatically will, if I delete any record from this table, from the primary table, automatically will delete all the records that relates to this table. Okay, so the next foreign key we have here is the course IDFK. So I'm going to the course details here and click and drag this to the course IDFK and force referential integrity, cascade update, cascade delete and create. Then I'm going to go to the venue ID and then click and drag to the foreign key and force referential integrity, cascade update, cascade delete. And finally I need to go to the student ID and then click and drag and force referential integrity, cascade update and cascade delete. Now, my relationships on this Microsoft Access database now looks exactly the same as my relationships on my ERD. Okay, let's bring that down a bit. Okay, so as you can see, let's bring this here. As you can see here, I've got the assessors table, and then on the assessors table, I've got the ID field, the primary key, goes to the course details. Can you see that? I've missed that. So now this is why it is important for me to make sure that I refer back to the ERD. So I've missed the foreign key here, but by watching the ERD, based on the way I constructed it in the previous video tutorial, I can actually see very clearly, okay, and that's why it is important to put nice bright colors. I should have here another relationship. So I just spotted this mistake. So I need to find now the assessor ID. So the assessor ID is the primary key, and I'm going to click and drag it over to the course details. So I'm going to force reversal integrity, cascade update, cascade delete. And you can always move things around just to make things a lot more easy for you to see and other people to understand as well. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 relationships there. So if I go back to my entity relationship window, the ERD, okay, so 1, 2, 3, so 2 green and 2 blue, that's 4, and I've got 1 orange, 1 purple, and 1 yellow. 3 plus 4, 7. Now, this is my validation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know now my relationships are absolutely spot on. And I'm ready now. Let's close and save this. And I'm ready now to start adding data. So your next job is to add at least 5 records on each table. And in the next video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to design queries and how to implement queries. And finally, how to design forms and implement forms. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something new today. I hope you will be able to apply these new skills onto your database and to your future. Bye for now.